I had a guy that used to work for me, and I think he may be the best that's ever worked for me. He did not have the gene that could make him uncomfortable. No matter how uncomfortable the conversation was, he would never get uncomfortable. It's like he was missing that part of his personality, missing that part of his DNA. Like that strand never bonded because he was unbelievable. We went on a call one time with this little old lady, and her husband had just passed away. He had paid the bills and took care of the house and all that for 50 years or whatever. And so she needed a new furnace. The furnace had gone out. Her husband had been gone a few months. But she sat there and we talked about that with her and everything. And at the end, she's like, well, let me talk to my son. I forget exactly what it was, but basically she didn't do anything that night. So Winston comes in the office the next morning, and I'm like, Winston, be sure and call that lady from last night. And he goes, yeah, right away. So he jumps to the phone. I'm sitting right there in the office, and she answers the phone, and he says, ma'am, this is Winston from last night. I was just wondering if you had a chance to talk to your husband. Like, he completely forgot that the husband was dead. He was so focused on his job. I'm not telling you he was a great listener. In fact, he was a horrible listener. I have seen him in situations where people would say stuff like, man, there's just no way we can afford this. And he'd sit there for a second and nod his head and say, well, I'm sure we can figure out a way, can't we? I mean, let's get you an install date. Like, he was never uncomfortable in every situation.